My name is Stephanie Mladnick, and I'm a climate adaptation specialist at the South Central Climate Adaptation Science Center. In this video, I'll provide an introduction to climate adaptation, what it is, how we can plan for it, and which resources can best support you in your climate adaptation actions. So what is climate adaptation? Climate adaptation refers to actions taken to reduce the risks imposed by today's changed climatic conditions. These actions complement climate mitigation strategies, which are actions made to reduce or prevent emission of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Even if we were to stop emitting greenhouse gases today, we would still need climate adaptation strategies to manage the changes already underway. As global temperatures have risen over the last several decades, we've already started to experience impacts of climate change, such as an increasing frequency of extreme events and decreasing biodiversity. These challenges are among the many we need to address with climate adaptation. Climate adaptation is a process, not a destination. Although adaptation planning should be tailored to local and regional needs, there are general steps you can follow, including establishing awareness and engaging your community or organization, assessing climate vulnerabilities and risks, exploring how future climate change impacts the current goals of your community or organization, identifying and implementing adaptation strategies, monitoring and evaluating the impacts of actions over time and adapting based on the results, and sharing the lessons learned. I will focus on the example of climate adaptation and natural resource management. As we see habitat loss and species range shifts, we know that we can't always try to conserve and manage lands and waters like we have in the past. Natural resource managers and policymakers are faced with big challenges. They need to care for ecosystems and make decisions that can prevent collapse, while maintaining biodiversity and healthy ecosystems. Planning for climate-adapted systems encompasses a wide range of strategies. For example, managers can increase natural water retention by restoring wetlands and forests. They can protect coasts against rising sea levels and erosion by planting mangroves. Other climate adaptation strategies may include stricter conservation regulations in fishing zones, increasing the connectivity between protected habitats, or reintroducing native species to areas where they have disappeared. What's important is that these actions are developed together with diverse groups of people and perspectives to generate locally relevant, feasible, and impactful solutions. Despite recent advances in climate adaptation, there remain some challenges and barriers to successful implementation. For example, the current rate at which actions are being implemented locally to globally is insufficient relative to the pace of climate change. Funding and resources are limited, and collaboration among diverse partners can be stunted by competing or misaligned values and goals. Some adaptation actions can perpetuate or intensify social injustices and must be carefully planned to avoid causing harm or maladaptation. Progress can be hard to measure, and although there are many available tools, translating priorities into action is hard. There are loads of resources out there to help you in creating your own climate adaptation plan. Sometimes the biggest challenge is finding what best fits your needs. A great place to start is the National Climate Assessment coordinated by the U.S. Global Change Research Program. It has a chapter on climate adaptation and many examples of successful adaptation throughout the entire report. Here are some other resources that you may find useful. The U.S. Forest Service Adaptation Workbook guides you through steps to define and evaluate your management goals and objectives related to climate change. It contains a menu of adaptation strategies specific to ecosystems and management objectives. Climate Smart Conservation offers a generalized framework to climate adaptation planning by linking actions to impacts, managing for change, reconsidering goals, and integrating adaptation into all existing work to build a climate-informed approach to conservation. The Resist, Accept, Direct framework helps resource managers assess and plan for the impacts of climate change on ecosystems through 3 primary pathways for management response. The Great Lakes Indian Fish and Wildlife Commission developed the Tribal Climate Adaptation Menu, drawing from Anishinaabe perspectives that integrate indigenous and traditional knowledges, cultures, languages, and histories into the climate adaptation planning process. It can be adapted to the unique needs of other tribes and communities. The U.S. Climate Resilience Toolkit focuses on the steps necessary to build resilience in the face of climate change, including case studies and a collection of climate data and decision support tools all in one place. Finally, the Climate Toolbox provides a collection of tools to visualize past and projected climate and hydrology to answer questions about climate, agriculture, fire, and water. These are all great resources for you to explore. It's important that you, your organization, and your governments build a long-term vision to reach a climate-resilient future that supports healthy ecosystems and strong communities. Through adaptive actions, we bolster our ability to endure and even flourish through future climate change impacts.